It is Friday, December 6th, 2024. This is your edition of Game on Hockey, a presentation of the Game Over Network, where we take a quick grip around the world of hockey in 10 minutes or less. My name is Graham Mosimann, and a bit of a weird day. A lot of stuff happened for a Thursday, also known as Practice Friday. The Blackhawks fired their head coach Luke Richardson, and in the words of Kyle Davidson, the rebuild was not progressing as we wanted it to. Now, a big part of this, I'm going to wonder, is if it's about the progression of Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard, who was incredible all of last year, this year very much not the same player that we've sort of expected him to be for the Chicago Blackhawks, as in his last 5 games, he only has 2 goals. This season, as of yet, he only has 19 points, and 14 of those are assists. So is this a coaching thing? Is it a deployment thing? Probably. So it's... yeah, you can probably point to that as the biggest reason, because let's face it, no one was expecting the Chicago Blackhawks to be any form of good this year at all. And they're not. They'll be bad, pick up more draft picks, and then build better around Bedard as time goes on. But as for the moment, they will do it heading in with a brand new coach, a fellow that'll actually be the very first Swedish coach ever in the NHL. The interim head coach is Anders Sorensen, so he's the AHL head coach for the Rockford Ice Hogs. So he just gets promoted up. Very cool point though, being at 49 years old, still the very first Swedish-born head coach in NHL history. Do we expect the Blackhawks to have a bit of a dead cat bounce after firing their coach? Doubtful, because they're still the Blackhawks, and they are still hot garbage. Marty Necas has tied David Pastrnak as the third fastest Czech-born player to reach 40 points in a season, behind Jaromir Jagr. Unbelievable. Marty Necas, from a guy that was whiskers away from being traded to the Vancouver Canucks, now just putting together this absolutely obscene scene as he's just ripping his way through the league this year. So hats off to you, Marty Necas. A very weird stat from the Oilers' 6-3 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. We love a weird stat, as Leon Draisatl has become just the 56th player in NHL history and the very first Oiler to score 150 power play goals. As it seems like the Oilers, while still not having the goaltending together, they've been able to put together a bunch of games. They've scored a bunch of goals, and in true Edmonton Oiler fashion, what do you do when you don't get goaltending and have weird defense? Just score yourself out of the problem, and that is what it looks like they are doing and putting together for the season so far. So, more incredible news from the world of Patrik Laine, who in 2 games back for the Montreal Canadiens has scored 2 absolutely vintage Patrik Laine goals with just rippers of a shot from the kind of left circle. He also had one of the best game day fits we've ever seen on a player walking in. Has this like black patterned floral suit with these red vibrant kind of patches, stripe things on them. It looks so good, and only Patrik Laine could pull it off as well as he did. The Buffalo Sabres are officially on Fire Everyone watch as they collapsed again, losing to the Winnipeg Jets in overtime after very nearly pulling out the win yesterday. Unfortunately, Lindy Ruff probably won't be the person fired for this one, and that was a dumb hire from the start when Kevin Adams made that call. Lindy Ruff's best years as a head coach were eons ago. And to think he was going to be the guy that comes in and helps the Sabres, who were very close to making the playoffs last season, it ain't it. It wasn't it. It felt like a hire that was just there to kind of sate some of the people in the city of Buffalo, whether those were like reporters or some of the very vocal season ticket holders, who can say. But it was a weird pick. It was a bad pick. And the Sabres look like they're floundering once again. Kevin Adams, the general manager, has been in charge of this team for now, oh boy, when did he get put in? I want to say 2020-ish? Just going to double check here to be sure. Yeah, June 16th, 2020, replacing the recently fired Jason Botterill. And Kevin Adams, he was okay. Like, he had 500 NHL games before he got the role. But primarily, his experience was all in, like, business administration. And he was very much like a Terry and Kim Pagula kind of loyal soldier, which feels why he got the job while having not really a lot of official experience for it. I mean, you look at some of the trades that Buffalo has made. The Jack Eichel trade looks all right. It looks fine for Buffalo. Like, it looks fine. Like, Alex Tuch is awesome. Peyton Krebs remains to be seen if he can pull in a player. But Eichel's already taken off and won a cup in Vegas. So how different do the Buffalo Sabres look if Kevin Adams, instead of digging his feet in the sand and saying, you can't get the surgery you want, how much different do the Buffalo Sabres look with a 1-2 punch of Jack Eichel, who would have stayed, and Tage Thompson? No Peyton Krebs, no Alex Tuch, but you have Jack Eichel, who's one of the best players in the league, and then Tage Thompson. Probably, who knows if he'd be able to replicate that same incredible season he had with Jack Eichel on his team, but a power play with Tage Thompson and Jack Eichel on it, excuse me? That is disgusting. And that's what you could have had, Buffalo, but you got weird. Buffalo's such a great market, and there's so many good people there that I kind of almost hope they keep losing so they can just fire Kevin Adams and be done with it and maybe try to hire someone better. But if we based on the whole history of Terry and Kim Pagula, probably not going to happen. That is going to do it for this edition of Game on Hockey. I am Graham Mosimann. We will meet you again here on Monday for the next episode. Later on today, or earlier today, depending on when you listen to this, there'll be a brand new episode of Hyperdrive Hockey with Max, Stephanie, and Kev, who will get into the minutia that we can't necessarily get into on this show in a very cool way. It's a great show. Give it a listen. For tonight, we have Game Over Toronto as the Leafs and Capitals do battle. And then as well, the Blue Jackets Western Conference swing continues. They'll be visiting the Canucks tomorrow. So we'll have a Game Over Winnipeg or Game Over Vancouver for that one. Coming up on Saturday, a whole slew of games as a Jets and Blackhawks meet up in the afternoon. We'll have a Game Over Winnipeg from that one. Game Over Toronto as the Leafs take on the Penguins. Game Over Montreal as the Caps take on the Habs. Game Over Ottawa as the Preds and Senators do battle. And then I'll have the Nightcap hosting Game Over Edmonton with the St. Louis Blues and the Edmonton Oily Boys. Have yourself a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk on Monday here on Game On Hockey, a presentation of the Game Over Network.